And so it's so important to get in the right rooms. And you don't have to get into the room of a billionaire if you're just starting out. You just have to get into a room of another person who's doing business a little bit better than you. Welcome to the Spinoso Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Spinoso, and my expertise is in scaling all types of medical businesses to 7, 8, and 9 figures and sharing the strategies with you. This isn't a podcast telling you you should do this. It's just telling you how I do this. I want to help you take charge of your business, build a life you love, and become a better leader in every area of your life. He said life twice. Vaughn, stop changing the fucking intro. Okay, moving on. Today we're going to talk about how to create amazing opportunities in your life and business. And guys, there's no opportunity tree. Opportunities don't just fall from the fucking sky into your lap. You have to create them. Whether it's growing your business, making connections, or leveling up personally, we're going to get into it today with my co-host, Miss Amanda May. Are you ready to talk about opportunities?
I am ready. Born ready for opportunities.
All right. So a personal story about opportunities. I would not be sitting here today if it wasn't for me really capturing an opportunity that I had 6.5 years ago. 7 years ago now, I was sitting and listening to a podcast called the MFCEO Project podcast. And I knew I wanted to be a business owner. And the MFCEO was the #1 business podcast in the United States for a while. And I was listening to it and learning everything there is to know about business. And I knew I wanted to create my own business. I worked at 3 different urgent cares part-time and full-time for the government working in the prison, and really wrote down everything that the MFCEO Project was saying. Every little thing from top to bottom. I was like, okay, this is how you build a business. And so after a while, the host of it, Andy Frisella, said, you know what, I'm going to build a group and we're going to be launching it, and it's going to be called the Arte Syndicate. And we're going to teach everybody how to do business. It's a multi-millionaire, now billionaire, teaching all you freaking dummies how to build a business. And I'm like, fuck me, sign up. I'm going to sign up 100%. And I remember the email came out, like, here's your application to join the Arte Syndicate. I was super excited. And it was like, here, upload your P&L. And I was like, fuck, what's a P&L? I have no idea what that is. And, I had taken my MBA, but at the same time in business, but at the same time, I was like, I have no idea. Like, I don't have a business. Like, I want a business. I've been learning about a business. My wife and I had already moved out of our house to rent it in order to build this business. And I like, fuck it. That sucks. I can't do it. And so I pushed it to the side. And that weekend, my wife and I went to Sacramento to visit my parents. And in Sacramento, we went and saw a concert for Jethro Tull. So Jethro Tull is an old school rock master. He's the first rock band to put a flute in the rock band. And he's a badass. Do you know who Jethro Tull is?
No.
No, you don't know who Jethro Tull is? Oh my God. We're gonna play like it. Jethro Tull is the badass of badasses. I'm gonna pull this up right now because you cannot be just a person without listening to Aqualung. I mean, listen to this. Yes. Give it to me.
I know that.
Yeah, you know Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
Yes. There we go. You just feel it. Oh, Aqualung. All right, Anchorman made fun of it.
Now I know. Now I'm, okay, I'm with you.
Okay, so we go and see Jethro Tull. Now, Jethro at that time was a bit older, probably the same age, if not older than Elton John, but he really didn't have Elton John's money. So he wasn't very up on the anti-aging stuff, and Jethro was looking pretty rough. Okay, this guy was old as shit. Now, his band was still good, but when it comes to singing, it was pretty bad. And so we're sitting here in this auditorium, and there are more walkers and people movers in the hallways than I know what to count. You can't go to the bathroom because you're stuck. All these people have Depends, so they don't really care. There was an intermission during the concert, and so we got so bored that during this rock concert intermission, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to apply it to this Arte Syndicate thing. I don't know if I'll get in, but I might as well do it, right? The worst they could say is no. So I just wrote my answers on there, very true, straightforward. And I remember a few days later, we were back in Palm Springs, and I got an email. Congratulations, you got into the Arte Syndicate. And I was like, holy shit. Like, that's amazing. Out of 10,000 applications, you were one of 50 applications, like 0.01% acceptance rate or something like that. Welcome. We'd love to see you at the first event. Here's click this link to pay your dues. I was like, okay. So I clicked the link, and it was like, it's $50,000 a year. Oh, fuck. It was.
You didn't know that when you.
I had no idea we had to pay for a mastermind. I didn't even know what a mastermind was. So I was like, okay, yeah, $50,000 a year. It was $50,000 up front, or it was $5,000 per month, so $60,000. I was like, oh fuck, I don't know if I could do this. So I remember just being like deflated, because my wife and I, we were saving up to build a business, and we had saved a little over $100K. And I was like, okay, I somehow have to tell my wife that this is something I want to do. I have no idea how I'm going to do this. So I remember sitting Steph down in the kitchen, and I was like, look, I got into this Arte Syndicate thing. She knew that I had applied, but she didn't really know what it was about or anything like that. And I said, it's ran by these two guys who are going to teach me everything about business. These guys are business people. And I don't know what or why I feel like I need to do this, but I think I need to do this. And she said, well, you don't really spend money on yourself, and you don't spend money on nice things. So if you feel like you need to do this, then go ahead and do it. And, that opportunity came along that one time, and I had to go all in with half of my net worth at the time. And so I paid the money. I walked in there, and I just walked in there with the idea of, I'm going to soak up possibly everything I can, and I'm going to help out these entrepreneurs with anything I can, and we'll see how this year goes. And by the end of that year, I had walked away or built 3 companies out of that, the beginnings of what would be a Genesis, a scrub company, and, an urgent care concept. Ended up walking away from the urgent care concept and giving up my shares of the scrub company, just because partners weren't the greatest. And I just focused on Genesis, which was actually going to be CellSpark when we started with Brent. And we opened with a stem cell company, and then turned it into Genesis and grew what it is now. But when I went into that group, I paid to have the door open for opportunity, but once I was in there, I made sure that I grabbed onto every opportunity I could. Anybody that needed help and I could help them, I tried to do it. Anything that I was able to support the group in, I tried to do it. And so opportunities, they don't just show up on your doorstep. They're not just falling in your lap 99% of the time. And you cannot wait for the stars to just fucking align, because it never will. Shit's never right. The opportunities that we have now, Brent and I, and even myself in my own businesses outside of Genesis, they didn't just fall in my lap. They were there, and then I absolutely took them. I absolutely pushed for them. And as a result of that, Genesis is what it is now. So a lot of people say, I don't have the same opportunities. I don't have the same thing. No, then you guys most of the time have the same opportunities. You're just not willing to take that risk, because you see it come along and you're like, that's a lot of risk. Walking away from roughly $500K a year with all the jobs that I was doing was a huge risk. Being I had no fucking clue how to start a business. I had no clue how to run a business. I had no clue about leadership. I had read all about it, but never actually did it, which is 2 very fucking different things. Let me tell you that. But when the opportunity presented itself, I was like, fuck it. I'm all in. I'm going to go all in. And that's what I've done over and over and over in all the different businesses I have. With Accesso Bio, my biologics company, I own roughly a little over 11% of that company. And that was a friend of a friend. So, Justin Blum, who helped me, who was in Arte. He convinced me to move out to Las Vegas to build the company with Brent. And while I was out there, he also introduced me to another gentleman named Michael Aquino. And Mike and I were both in the medical field. So he's not a provider. He worked in the medical field. And that's all he knew. Like, he worked in the medical field. So we hit it off. We started talking or whatever, just randomly would check in with each other every now and then. So about 3 years into Genesis, I was like, what the fuck do you do in a conversation? And because Mike and I we were in both the medical field, and we didn't really know deeply what each other did in the medical field. So Mike came out and, saw Genesis and what it does. And I was like, okay, what do you do? What the fuck do you do? And he's like, oh, we do wound care. So we have this biologics company who is registering our products to be sold for wound care and reducing amputations or reducing death after amputations, all these sorts of great, amazing wound care things. And I was like, that sounds awesome. That's, all these are all amniotic products or, collagen products, things that I had studied doing my fellowship in stem cells, and, products that are allogeneic products or autologous products. Those are from somebody else or from yourself. That's what allogeneic and autologous means. And so I was like, whoa, that's what I do. That's what my fellowship is in. Like and so we ended up talking a lot about business, and he said, I could learn a lot from you. And I said, like, I'd love to be a part of what you're doing. And so I bought into that company, and it wasn't a hesitation. It was, thousands of dollars. It's like, okay, you know what? I will do this. I'm going to do this with you. And at the same time, just like Brent, Mike is also just a self-starter, thoroughbred dude. And at that time, we had the conversation of, why would you invest in us? And because you already have the successful brand, you're already growing it and everything. And I told him, like, really wealthy people, they don't need money anymore. They just start to invest in thoroughbreds. And for anybody that knows thoroughbred horses, like, they're race horses, they're riding horses. Thoroughbreds, just thoroughbreds. It's a horse that the pedigree is awesome, and they are going to be a highly effective horse in general. So it's the same with business. Like, thoroughbreds are those people that you meet and you just know, man, that person has it. That person fucking has it. Like, they're going to do something great. Even if they're not doing something great now, they're going to do something great. And so those are the types of people that you invest in. And I was like, you know what? This guy is a fucking thoroughbred. So I invested in him, and now Accesso Bio is growing immensely as well. But again, both opportunities that I got myself into the right rooms. I paid to get in the right rooms. And then when the opportunity came, there was no hesitation of, okay, I'm all in on this. I'm definitely going to go in on this. Because in the past, there was hesitation when it came to other parts where it's like, I don't know about this or whatever, but I've still gone all in. And I've failed. And I've failed multiple times. And in Genesis, we've gone in on programs and things like that have failed or haven't worked out right. But consistently going all in and consistently taking that opportunity and that step, that creates the momentum in your life. That creates the momentum in your business. Like, you just sitting around doing nothing, you're not going to be fucking successful, period. You have to create your own momentum doing that.
You have a mindset of opportunity too. And that, I think, is a driver in the success of whatever it is you're putting your mind to, because people can either see problems or they can see opportunities. And when you walk into a room, you paid to get into those rooms, but you could have found all kinds of excuses as to why it didn't work out for you. And you hear people say things like that. Well, this happened or that happened. There's just this mindset of like this problem or this hurdle or this struggle, and that's why I didn't get there. But it's like you walked in with an expectation of something amazing. And that's why you were able to create something amazing from it, because that's what you went in to create. So your intention going in during those opportunities is a driver in the connections that you were able to make.
Yeah.
which is great. So for somebody listening, what do you feel like would be one step if they're like, okay, I want to create opportunities. I don't really know how, but what would you say is like the first step or one step somebody could take to create opportunities for themselves in their life or business?
Start with the end. Start with what you want in mind and write it down. I talk to now I just run into, different business owners, and the biggest, most common mistake that I see people make, and I've made the same mistake, is I ask them, "Hey, so what's your end goal with this project?" And they don't know. They have no fucking idea. They're just like, "Well, to grow it and, do something." Yeah, the process of business is to fucking grow it.
Mhm.
I know, but what is the goal? Is the goal to sell it to somebody? Is the goal to keep it for your kids? Is the goal to, have somebody else partner with you? Or is the goal to be a joint venture with something else? They have no idea where they're going. And as a result of that, then they have no idea what to build right now or what steps to take right now because there's no end in mind. It's like, well, I'm going to start this and we'll see how it goes. That doesn't fucking help you at all. It doesn't help the direction you need to go in because there's 5 different directions you could go in with just figuring out what the end is. So it's like, okay, I want to build this that has this end. This end could be selling in 5 years. This end could be, I want to be able to bequeath this empire to my children, etc. And then you go back and say, okay, what is the first step that I have to do to head towards that? And really, it's just number one, starting with education, finding somebody who's done it before in that pathway or has that knowledge, and then going and paying for it, or going and getting for free because YouTube has a ridiculous amount, Instagram has a ridiculous amount, TikTok has a ridiculous amount of education in all these things, and almost any business you can learn how to do from your own home. And then just learning as much as you can, get as educated as you possibly can about it, and implement. That would be the second step. Implement what you learn immediately. Start with the end in mind, go learn, implement, period.
Yeah, which is exactly what you did. You started with the end in mind of, I want to start a business.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be an entrepreneur.
Yep.
And that's why you moved out of your house and started saving money. So that was like the first step.
Yep.
To create an opportunity. And because you did that, you had the money to invest in this essentially second opportunity. Because your first opportunity was to move out of the house, start saving toward having a business. Mm-hmm. Had you not done that, Arte could have came around. You might not have had the money to invest anyway.
Correct.
So, there's a progression there. You were taking action toward your end goal, which was starting a business.
Yeah.
And then entering it with the end in mind of starting a business. Because I've heard you tell this story, and every time you tell it, I learn some new things, which is really great. So I don't ever mind hearing the same story multiple times.
I don't go into all the details every time.
Different times we talk about different aspects of it. And so one of the things I have heard you say is that Brent asked you to be his medical director, and you were like, nope.
Yep.
I want to be a partner, and that, again, that was an opportunity that you created because you were clear on what your end goal was.
Yep.
You didn't want to be a medical director. Been there, done that. You were walking away from, that side of things because you wanted something bigger.
Yep.
And so, yeah, you had that end in mind walking into the Arte. What does the Arte Syndicate mean? Do you know?
So Arte is Greek word for excellence.
Oh.
So it means excellence. It has, like any business, a good set of core values. Mason, behind you on there is a actual cigar ashtray that was machined out of aluminum. One of my colleagues in the Arte Syndicate made this for a bunch of us. So here's the core values for the Arte Syndicate.
That's cool.
Create a positive impact, leadership through action, do the right thing, be humble, hard discipline, commit to dominating, and good isn't enough, excellence is essential, and be a lifetime student. So they, just like they preached, just like I preached, they were very big on the core values and everything like that. And I think that's the basis of all really great companies is your core values. And we've talked about that, but really, you're absolutely right in that we moved out. My wife and I had moved out, and that was kind of the first step. And that was a challenge. Like, we moved out of our house in Palm Springs. We had a beautiful home with a front yard pool, and it overlooked the Palm Springs. Like, there was a tiny little mountain range. You can't even call it mountains, but it was some hills. So it was a beautiful front yard. It was the sunset every night in the front yard. It was amazing. And weird, Palm Springs homes have like the pools in the front yard, a lot of them. So it's kind of weird getting used to it at first. But
See, I'm just like picturing everyone on this street out in their pool at the same time, like
yeah,
all in their bathing suits and stuff.
yeah, it was all
all
19,
like hanging out,
1980s,
like
70s,
hanging out with
70s.
everyone in their own backyard.
Yeah,
like
they're just in the front yard.
Strange.
Yeah. So we moved out of that and we moved into, you know, a 5-bedroom house that I talk about, but the 5 bedrooms were rented. So we moved into the front foyer, which is a, you know, tiny little 150 probably square foot room. We had the mattress and all of our stuff in trash bags around it. And Steph walked with a bag of laundry, walked across the street about, you know, 10 to 12 minutes to get to the laundry mat and, you know, do our laundry and then trudge ourselves back. We didn't want to drive because that cost money from gas. So we walked back and we saved as much as we could. So that was a huge challenge. Like, that was difficult to live in that. And it was like, I felt like shit. It was like 30 something at the time, 31, 32 at the time. And, you know, it felt like shit to be a doctor and we're living in this fucking rented foyer on the floor, you know, on a mattress.
But you were doing it for the
she
bigger
stuck with
vision.
me. Yeah, she stuck with me. But it was a challenge. Like, you have to be able to, and that challenge is what led to, you know, the Arte and the business and everything like that. And your ability to adapt really turns those setbacks into your stepping stones. And I see so many fucking people who are unwilling to take the one step back. Maybe that's living at a lower, you know, level of life. Maybe that's reducing their car payment and driving just a car that gets you from A to B, or keeping the car that they have and not upgrading, or, you know, not buying, you know, that extra purse, or not buying that nice clothing or anything like that, or not upgrading their apartment that they live in. Like, I see so many people not doing that, not willing to take the step back and live in the shit for a while in order to take 2 steps forward. I mean, there was a partner that we were going to have, or a potential partner we were going to have in the Texas clinics. And the problem was that he was unwilling to take a step back and live a lower level in his life, because they had already lived at such a high level because he was a doctor. That, and again, high level is fucking relative now. I probably make in a month what he makes an entire year. But again, it was high level for him, and he was unwilling to give up any type of money to help us run those clinics, which, you know, the potential was a huge upside. But that unwillingness is what keeps people where they are forever.
Yeah, I mean, that reminds me of even when we met, that was another opportunity that would be easily talked about in this conversation, because we were going to the same gym and the owner of the gym was like, hey, you guys have to meet each other. And, you know, so that the opportunity of not staying in my bed late on a Saturday night in Vegas, which is what I like to do, meant that I had to be out communicating with people. But that's how we met. And, you know, when I think about taking this step back, you know, I was making good money running my own business when we met. And, for the idea or possibility of something bigger within Genesis, letting all of that go. I mean, I think for the years to follow, I made like, I don't know, maybe 40% of what I was making, you know, before we met. And so, but it's the big picture. It's like, well, what's the opportunity here? Of course, learning and setting yourself up with great relationships and stuff is a part of it, but there's a bigger picture with even Genesis and what we're building. And there was only 4 clinics at that time, so it's grown a lot since I came on board. But But yeah, I mean, it's uncomfortable. It's, I don't have as nice of a house today that I had before we met, but doesn't mean I'm not going to in the coming years, So and it might not be just for your own business, but even recognizing that sometimes in the process, taking those opportunities, it does mean a change in lifestyle, and that it can be a challenge, but recognizing the bigger picture and the long-term play. I think when somebody's really just focused on what do I get right now, or let me, monetize everything I'm doing right now, it's like sometimes there's a giving that has to happen.
Yeah.
And then it's like you start opening the doors of receiving.
Yeah.
And they come from a lot of areas, we're doing the skincare line together, Genesis, there's other things that because I made those changes in my life, now it's like there's other opportunities that are coming from multiple directions. And that, that's definitely going to be more abundant in the long run than had I just continued down my own path and made comfortable money the rest of my life.
Every entrepreneur that I know that's made like really good money has worked for free for a good part of the beginning of their career. You can't do it forever, but I mean working for free in that you're working and all the money is going back into the business, or you're working and you're not seeing the results yet. All right. Those are all things that you should be working for free no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
100%. And that's just how it is. That's how you're going to be able to grow and expand and actually make a shitload of money.
What do you think for, again, going back to the people listening to the podcast, what do you feel like are challenges somebody could be facing right now that they could use if they saw it as an opportunity in disguise?
So there is a great book, Relentless Solution Focus, RSF. And the RSF model is always asking the same question: what is the one thing I can do to make this situation better right now? And a lot of times people have obstacles or issues, and they're like, and then they wallow in self-pity, like, why me? Why this business? Why now? And the difference between success and failure is that adaptability. Every single person, every single business, every single relationship at some point has some sort of obstacle. It's just going to. You don't create anything great without having fucking obstacles along the way. There has to be obstacles in order for you to create something great. And as a result of that, every obstacle that people have, they always look at it, or I won't say always, but a lot of people will fucking look at that and say, oh, this is the end. This is what I knew was going to happen. We're done. We're not going anywhere at all. So any obstacle, I would say, in your life right now, if you're looking at it as an obstacle, try and reframe it and say, okay, what are the good things that could come out of this? Maybe you're getting a fucking divorce. Okay, maybe she's fucking crazy. Right? Like anything. Maybe your business is not selling what it's supposed to be. Okay, great. This shows that our system is not where it's supposed to be. How do we fix it? How do we improve the system? Okay, the interpersonal relationships I have with my kids aren't great. Okay, what are the one things or two things that I could do to make it better right now? Where's the silver lining here? Well, the silver lining is I know how I fucked up. That's part of the accountability. What did I do wrong? Look at yourself and figure that the fuck out, because and then change it. So it's all the challenges that people have, they're hiding those opportunities. They're hiding opportunities to get better. And people always just say, these challenges are terrible. Why? This is the worst. I have it harder than anybody. Dude, everybody has fucking hard shit. Everybody goes through hard shit all the fucking time. There's nobody in life that just breezed through and had zero fucking problems in life whatsoever, except for maybe ultra wealthy kids that grow up with a spoon in, silver spoon in their mouth. But I've never met one, so I don't hang around with them. So I have not met a single person that has not gone through some shit in order to get to where they are today. Period. So if you think you're going to get through without, it's an opportunity. If you think you're going to get through life without any fucking challenge whatsoever, or some horrible fucking times, then good luck.
Well, I mean, it's even the mindset that we use in our company. If there's an issue, like if we meet and let's say somebody's having an issue in the business, we call those opportunities because those issues are opportunities to get better, shift, pivot, make changes, see something that you didn't see before, but it's an opportunity to be better. And so, or growth, which is one of our core values. So, yeah, so maybe reading that book would be a good place for people to start. If you're
That's a great
experiencing
place.
challenges
It's a great place for people to start.
and you want to see them as opportunities, check out the RSF mindset book.
Yep. Relentless solution focus.
And you touched on relationships and the importance of relationships, and that's so much a part of what masterminds are all about, is building the relationships, and you were able to cultivate incredible relationships through that. And then, when we talk about relationships, it's like, who do you feel like in your current network, that where you're at right now, where do you feel like maybe somebody is in your current network that can help you even grow or get to the next goal that you have?
There are, and this is very true of everything. And the cliche goes, you are the sum of the 5 people you hang around the most. And that is extremely true. I mean, herd mentality is herd mentality. If you get in a room full of, druggies who all they do is drugs all day and they talk about drugs all day and they do nothing but, chill out and take drugs all fucking day long, at some point you're probably going to try some drugs, right? And it's the same in a different room. If you're filled with a room of entrepreneurs and leaders and people who want to grow and people who want to improve, you're going to naturally want to be an entrepreneur. You're going to naturally want to grow, naturally want to improve. And so it's so important to get in the right rooms. And you don't have to get into the room of a billionaire if you're just starting out. You just have to get into a room of another person who's doing business a little bit better than you. Doesn't have to be a lot of it. It could be a little bit better than you. And the thing about the Arte Syndicate when I joined, right? The 2 leaders were already doing, 9 figures a year in their businesses. Both, and I think Ed was doing a little bit less, but he's worth $500 million at that time. Ed Milet and Andy running First Form, they were already doing hundreds of millions of dollars a year. So it was hard to bridge that gap. They were creating great, they had great business concepts and leadership stuff, but some of the stuff I couldn't use because I wasn't at that level yet. It was a lot of stuff that I'm like, okay, maybe I'll get there one day. But what was beneficial was that in the room, there was guys doing, just 7 figures or 8 figures in business. $1 million is 7 figures, 10 million is 8 figures. So they were much closer to me in terms of 0. That's where I was. And it was good because I got to learn from them. What were the first steps that I should take? And then once I learned from those people and I leveled up, then I got a different group of, entrepreneurs and leaders that were at the next level. And it was a different set of questions at 8 figures. And now we're at 9 figures, above 9 figures for each company, both Genesis and Accesso. And it's like, okay, what are the lessons that I have to learn at that level? And getting a circle and people that are at that level. And the thing is, the circles get smaller and smaller and smaller because there's less and less people. But at the same time, at the bottom, all those people, a lot of them will not share secrets and fight each other and stuff like that. And then in the middle, they'll start to get more calm. They're okay. And then at the very top, everybody just tries to help each other. Because we all know, like, we have our own lane, we have our own business. Even if we're in the same lane or business, like, we don't really fucking care. It's okay. There is no competition with a lot of guys because there isn't a lot of people in the same field doing the same thing at the same time. And even if you are in the same field at the same time doing the same thing, at that level, nobody fucking competes anymore. Like, yes, there is competition where you're competing for looks and sees and everything, but a lot of times those guys are trying to help each other. Like, we're talking about how to help each other. That's why I have the Dr. Alex Spinoza website where I have all the business videos. And then we're moving actually those guys to our charismatic circle. So all the free videos will be in the community. So people can be a part of the community and then join the paid programs that we have in charismatics. But that being said, there are different levels to that. And those relationships, they will take you further than everything. And there's a concept of a connector, a person who is like the guy or the girl that you go to, and you can ask any fucking question about anything, and they know a person. And I have a few of those people in my life. I am a total introvert, so I don't know a lot of people, but I'm learning a lot from these connectors. Connectors, they get open doors for everything. Like, hey, do you have a person who can do this? Yeah, you go talk to this guy. Hey, do you have a person who can get me this? Yeah, go talk to this girl. Those connectors, they make more money than anybody because they are able to be a part of all these different types of deals, all these different types of businesses. And everyone knows if you want to know someone or be in a room with someone, that person knows how to get there. And so those relationships have been incredible when it comes to scaling business. I mean, I met Michael Aquino through Justin, who is a connector of people. He owned multiple gym businesses, knew a lot of people in the Las Vegas area. So he got me connected in with a lot of people. Now Mike is a connector, the CEO of Accesso. Mike's a connector to, the government. We do a lot of MAHA stuff, Make America Healthy Again, donors, congressmen, senators that we talk to about all the stuff that we do, all the medical and healthcare stuff that we do. So connecting people as much as possible, that is what's going to get you to the next level. So looking at your current network, really audit it. Who is in your network that they're great, and who is in your network you need to fucking get rid of today? Because there's definitely somebody. No matter what, there's somebody in your network that you need to get rid of today because they're dragging you down.
That's a good assessment to make. Who is dragging you down? There's somebody. That makes me think.
There is.
No.
Yeah.
I'll have to think about.
It's probably your child. Yeah. Let her go. Let her go. If she comes back, she loves you. She's fine. She's like she's over 1 now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's self-sufficient. She could feed herself. She could feed herself. She needs to get a job. That's what she used to do.
Start contributing to the household.
Pay some damn rent around here.
She eats like $58 worth of berries in a day.
She's lucky hell, dude. That you want to be poor, buy your kids fucking berries. That's why people feed their kids candy. I get it, man. Candy's cheap. Berries are fucking like gold.
Yeah.
Little pieces of gold.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Nature's candy.
Ridiculous.
Candy. Yeah, which kind of, makes me think about pivoting and how important pivoting is if you want to create opportunities and get the most out of opportunities. You have to be ready and willing to pivot when necessary. It's something that, when you're in a fixed viewpoint, you don't realize that, I this picture of 2 trees, it's like an oak tree is not going to withstand a hurricane. The roots aren't deep enough. It's not flexible. But palm trees all day long, you see those whipping around in a hurricane.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can withstand anything. You have to be flexible. And yes, you want to have a goal. You want to set the stage for where you're going and be intentional. But at the same time, you have to be willing to be flexible, which means pivoting if something isn't working out for you and not just being like, no, this is what I said I'm going to do. And so this is what I'm going to stick to, even when you know it's not the best. And so there have been times that, we've talked about before, but maybe sharing for the listeners, like, when have there been times where you've had to change the course of where you thought you were headed, and then you've seen great success from it?
Well, when we first started Genesis, actually, even before then, I knew I wanted to build a company. And because I worked for urgent cares along with the government, I thought, you know what? I could probably build these urgent cares better than these people. Like, this is the setup here is fucking horrible. I definitely think I could do this better. And it turns out when you hindsight's 2020, when you look back, they were just really shitty managers. Like the place was just ran like crap because the managers just sucked. And the staff was just like, there was no core values, there was no camaraderie. It was like everybody fucking shit on each other, sort of thing. So it was really a culture and a management problem there, I think. Looking back on it now that I know more about business, but I thought I was going to build an urgent care. I thought urgent care is the place to be. I could do it better than these people. That's all I knew was urgent care. So I looked at all the different buildings for urgent care. I looked at old banks to turn into urgent cares, and I realized like that's a lot of fucking money to build an urgent care, like freestanding urgent care, or even an urgent care in like a retail center. I mean, you're looking at lowest cost $250K with all the rooms and the build out and the licensing. And then this was in California, so you had an extra $50,000 worth of different types of licensing, and probably an extra $50,000 in like businesses or business build out. What am I talking about? Construction permits and things like that in California. It would be even worse. And putting an X-ray machine, you have to lead line walls, and they have to be checked out by a like local physicist and chemist to make sure the lead is thick enough that the X-ray radiation doesn't get outside the room. So there's a lot to having an urgent care and building an urgent care. And finding that out, it was like, holy shit, this is a lot of money. Like, I just spent half of my life savings. I only got like $50K left. I'm not quite sure I can build this an urgent care or even get a loan for $500,000 for an urgent care to build out. And that's when it was like, okay, well, what's the next thing I can possibly do? And, meeting with Brent and talking with him is like, hey, we could open this little clinic that we just do stem cells. And, that's it. We don't have to we can have a second gen space. I could rent a room in somebody else's office and put some stickers on the door, and we could just drive clients into there, and I can do dinner talks to drive clientele. And if we sell something, we don't have to pay for anything until we sell something. So there's no cost of goods or anything, at least on the upfront, that we have to have sitting on the shelf. We just wait, they come in, we sell them, and then we can order the cells to come in the next day and treat them. And so that was a lot better. It was, to get off the ground, we split, so that we moved into an old chiropractic office, right? And it was old. It was like, 1980s, really tan floors and tan countertops and tan walls. And it was old, let me tell you.
And random artwork. Was that the same one I know of or before that?
Probably the first Henderson one. Yeah. You don't know the second one. You saw this. You know the second one, but it was the first Henderson one. That was a chiropractic office. And so, I ripped up the carpet myself and, hired a team to come in and do the flooring and paint the walls and redo the counters in the countertops in the front. And we split it. Like, the chiro who was there needed to upgrade the office. And I was like, we need to upgrade the office because we're not going to walk into this office and have it looking like shit. So we split it. It was like $3,500, I think, each. So it's like $7,000 to do the floors and the walls and the countertops and everything like that. So, okay, with $3,500 each, we're good. $3,500. And then starting my rent, and my rent was like 2 rooms in his office. And as we grew, it was 3 rooms in the office, etc. So if I was only committed to plan A, like urgent care, that's what we're doing, then I would have never built Genesis. Genesis was plan B. At the beginning, it was like, okay, well, if I can't do this and I can't afford it, let's do this. Turns out plan B was way better than plan A, way, way better. And so the same thing goes for your original plans or the plans that you have now. The idea of where you're going might be the end result. That was my idea. Like you said, starting with the end in mind, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, build a medical business. I really didn't care what type of medical business at that time. It was just like, I want to build a medical business. And urgent care didn't work out. Plan B turned into Genesis, and the rest is history with that.
Wow. I mean, this is such a good conversation because so many people have dreams and they just don't know where to start. And so this shows that the path is not always straight, and that you have to make the most of your opportunities and not see them as problems.
All right, guys, we're going to take a pause there and listen to part 2 of opportunities because we went a little bit long and it was a good podcast. So we'll see you on the second episode.